Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture.
Let's be honest, fighting games are exhausting, and I don't know if this is related to my ever creeping closer to the cloud of death, or an honest criticism of the genre, or just a simple fact of life. Fighting games turn from exhilarating into a slog in an instant. You make mistakes, you don't learn. You just continue ripping and tearing at the same things like a rat stuck in a trap. And eventually you fade away into that dark night. Crisis after crisis forces the mind and the body to extinction. Bear in mind, I'm bad, right? Statistically, you are too. Just that's just how the numbers pan out. I'm hoping you can relate to this. Sometimes the frazzled nerves, the repeated mistakes, and the exasperation wins, and it turns from GG next into
God, this work. So mediocre.
the low-tier god spirit creeps in. Let's do something completely different. Let's boot up Final Fantasy XIV. You find your data center and you log in. That's when you start to see it. The cooldowns, the mechanical demands, the spacing, the sheer horniness of the general populace. This is a fighting game. Final Fantasy XIV, all MMOs, are fighting games. We're going to talk about it. I don't mean that it's the same fighting game in the scheme of, like, say, Steam would say it's a fighting game. Seriously, Steam, throwing a fist doesn't a fighting game make. I don't know how far down a list I have to go to get to the fighting games in the fighting game section. Different topic, different time. The real topic at hand is this. MMOs are fighting games. I frequently see reference to Final Fantasy XIV being the FGC retirement home. I never really understood why. Then again, I see the same game referenced as the League of Legends retirement home. It makes me think that maybe there's not so much in common, but just the fact that Final Fantasy is laid back and cozy. Then you die for standing in the wrong place, or because an ability wasn't available. And I remember that it's a lie. There's a faceless orc on another server. He's calling me a fucking idiot. And I'm reminded of my own internal commentary, as I don't respect another DP. Anxiety kicks in. The feeling that I'm being observed, downloaded, and dissected creeps in. There are longer bouts of downtime and far more incubating environments, but I see the signs every time I load into an instance. It all comes down to about three things. Abilities, mechanics, roles. There's so much interconnecting between fighting games and MMOs that about the only thing that separates them are the minute details, the little activities. In just about any MMO, you can focus on transmog or fishing, and fighting games tend to focus more, oh god, oh, they're doing it. The core of any game is what you can do. If you can't do anything, then it's not a game. Fighting games, of course, have frame data dictating those abilities. How long it takes, how long it's active for, how long you can press an advantage or be pressed. You have a meter and resources to track, things integral to your success or your failure. There are faster abilities and slower abilities with varying degrees of risk, reward, and swag. MMOs operate on a very similar pretense. Your big cooldowns can save a fight, or if you blow them and are in recovery for your frame data, you lose. It's a lot like whiffing a super. It doesn't feel good. MMO players are at the mercy of the global cooldown, the GCD, dictating the amount of actions they can take in a certain amount of time. This keeps you from machine gunning your abilities and keeping a simplified pace. Unless, of course, you have meters and abilities and resources to manage. Then come the instant abilities. Making skills tied to the global cooldown interact with the instant abilities can cancel into each other. So you don't have to always abide by that global cooldown. It's combos! The shared incubator between these two genres is the lab and the training dummy. Optimizing rotations and combos feels a lot like cousins at a family reunion. They're in Tennessee and they're kissing. At some point, I really wish MMOs would keep track of like how many things you cancel into with an instant ability, a keep a little combo tracker. That'd be cool. Don't hire me. Also, remember those big cooldown abilities, the supers. A very common trope of these abilities are to amplify or even completely modify and change your existing abilities. It's an install. It's Shiki slipping in the knife to become an absolute neutral monster. It's my Reaper changing form and changing abilities and confusing the hell out of me. Fighting games have spacing jabs, MMO have main rotation abilities. There's a raid boss in front of me, and all I can think about is the Akuma player who made me cry in a mall in Montgomery, Alabama. I'm reminded that you can't outrun your mistakes. I've died to MMO bosses as many times as I've killed them. I've lost to as many fighting game players as I've defeated. The mistakes are the same. Mechanically, it's simple. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time doing the wrong thing. I blew it. So many times I've died because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know the matchup. I didn't know what Akuma did. You can throw fireballs in the air. What am I supposed to do about that? He's dashing on me. What is this? I can't look at the boss? Or I die? I'm a boy in a mall in Montgomery, Alabama, and I'm crying in a bathroom. I'm a man in my home of Mobile, Alabama. Crying is reserved for the beauty of my child or the tenderness of my partner. So many deaths and downfalls in fighting games and MMOs are just straight down to not knowing what the hell is happening. Knowing your opponent's win condition is the same as knowing the boss's mechanic and where to go when planets collide. Knowing to punish the Akuma DP goes hand in hand with knowing that you can dispel the Doom status effect. It's knowing where you are, where they are, where the fireballs are, and where the bodies are buried and how you put them there in the past. It's a knowledge check more than a mechanically demanding one. Fighting games and MMOs are brain age. Who are you? I'm something of a renaissance man myself. I play Faust, I play healers, I play Arcuate, I play tanks. In fighting games, you naturally gravitate to a main, some character who identifies and informs what you enjoy about playing the game, or whichever one gets you to the top as fast as possible. Each of these characters have their own individual strengths and weaknesses. Are they sturdy, up-close grapplers? Are they speed-ingesting damage demons with a paper frame? Are they some kind of freak? In the same vein, we have the trinity of MMO roles: tank, damage, support. It's an incredibly elegant triumvirate. Each cog turns and grips the other cogs and makes the machines work. Even more so than a character choice, these roles enforce core fighting game mechanics and demands from the player. Your tank is your defensive knowledge, knowing when to block, when to backdash, when to yell and cry and shit yourself, and how to blame. Damage archetypes are rushdown monsters, option selects and routing for optimal damage. Wild, warring, with a top 10 list of slurs at their disposal. Healers and support types operate as general knowledge. They are what keep you in the fight for as long as possible, press your advantage, and maximize your potential for victory. They are kings and queens and deserve to be recognized as such. It's knowing your meters and resources well enough to be able to maximize your damage or mitigation. While all these roles have specializations, they are required to know a little bit about how each one operates. Go like a triangle. Let's not forget the quiet fourth element that makes these two genres bloodbound. And arguably the most important one. It's community. These games all require a healthy base of players to avoid the dreaded dead game tag. And more warmly, it's what these people come to the games for. The banter, the connections, the feeling that there's something that you share with someone somewhere. Both these games fall into a niche category where outside homework isn't just encouraged, it's fundamental to be functional. Every new answer you get for something gives you 5 different questions. Games can be solved, but fighting games and MMOs give such a wild degree of variables that throw cogs into these plans. And exploring these things with the other people that experience them is the thing that bridges this whole gimmick together. It's a person in a mall in Montgomery, Alabama, telling me what Akuma did. It's a person with no name or face that I'm aware of telling me where to get a very cool duck pet. It's the fact that the people in these games are, for the most part, helpful, warm, and endearing. Oh, and you're all horny.